I paddle this river every year. This is the Magneto River.
I paddled this from where my mom used to live.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get. I was trying to paddle to Kearney. I couldn't make it because there's a set of rapids in between where I started and here.
That bridge that you passed in with those set of rapids, that's Ayers Bridge. That's where my family's farmhouse used to be.
Oh yeah?
Right there. That's the first bridge you pass on the way into town. But I paddle it from Sand Lake up here all the way down. That's as far as I'm going to go with this for now. Then we'll get it set once I'm on there. Okay. So these are nails. I'm going to use a couple of them to put this pole on an upright angle to hold it against the other tree that I'm using to anchor it. And then this is going to be a 3-nail set. So what a 3-nail set is you're going to have essentially 2 nails sitting on the back of one of your traps, so, and then the 1 nail on the other side. So it's going to be on the inside of the spring. So when you close the springs on the nails and you bend the nails a bit, what it does is just holds the trap essentially in place until the animal's through it. And then when the trap lets go, it comes off of the nails and it's able to close easily. But this is one of your more basic sets for running pole anyway. It's just pretty much to secure the trap to the actual pole and not have it move when you don't have any poles to put in it or have anything to anchor it to.
No store-bought braces or anything like that?
Nothing like that, yeah. This is the lightest pack you can carry in here, which is pretty essential when you're walking this far into the bush anyway. It's not the most fun, and I did it last year when I brought everything in. It's over 300 pounds of traps and different stuff, and when you bring that stuff in, you're just killing your back all day. There's no point to it. It makes it a little less enjoyable and a little more tedious when you're walking as slow as you are and breathing that heavy and expending all your energy like that, when you really want to be just sitting and thinking about that stuff. Okay. Most important tool.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you call that tool?
This is a trap safety. So when I am fiddling around with my trap and I don't want to get my fingers caught up, I keep this thing on the set, and this will save my fingers a whole lot of pain if anything was to ever go wrong.
I've heard some guys call those trap hands.
This? Trap hands?
It's a trap hand or a setter tool, but it's not really a setter tool, that's the big pliers.
Okay.
You know, those.
Thanks. Where did I put my hat?
It's right here.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Trapper who loses everything. So, when you're doing your 3-nail set, what you want to do is first measure out, for the most part, where everything's going to be. So I have an eye on that and an eye on that. So score it. Score it. Okay. Put 1 nail here. To be honest, I've never really been good at these. I always do it a little sloppy and it doesn't fit in always proper, but hopefully I can do it today. You cuck.
And this is a 120.
Yeah, yeah, it's a 120. Yeah, sorry.
120 body grip. Probably a Belle Isle.
Yeah, this is a Belle Isle 120.
There's different notches on that dog that you're setting.
Yeah.
What do those represent?
So, a lot of guys say that if you use the, if you use the first tooth on the dog, that your trap isn't going to hit as hard, but it's going to be there to catch the animal quicker.
So
And
more
then,
sensitive.
yeah, it alleviates some of the space that's between the animal and the actual trap. So it'll be a little farther out, and when it opens up, it has less distance to travel between the animal and the actual trap. Whereas they say if you use your second tooth on the back of the dog, what that's going to be is you're harder hitting. So it's going to come out
further back.
exactly. It has more velocity, more time to travel to the animal. I usually always use the second one. I don't know if I'm a strict believer in that whole policy of it, but I think of it, and if I want anything to happen, I want the animal to die faster. I don't want to have to suffer through anything. So if there's anything I wanted a harder hitting trap, something that's going to kill it quickly. And these new Belle Isles, just for explanation for anybody that doesn't know, and you, Paul, anyway, a lot of traps back in the day were straight barred across. So when you set the trap, it didn't have this loop on it right around the edges. So what's that's doing essentially is taking the trap, and when it moves out this way, it means the bars close tighter, which means a better kill no matter what. They close right tight, whereas the old traps, they were straight barred, came up and around, went straight across, and a lot of those got really, really loose over time. So actually when it was fully closed, you could still move it open a little bit, so they said it wasn't as lethal. These are a lot more lethal. Yeah, these are my calls, my lures. I only brought 3 of them with me today for target species. This is called the Long Distance Call 600. So this is good for just about any meat-eating predator. I know that its base comes down to it's good for wolf and it's good for fisher. And I did get a wolf on this last year, but this stuff is good for just about anything that's going to eat meat.
It's Hobacres?
Yeah, this is a Hobacres Long Distance Call 600, and as far as I can remember, what's in this is wolf gall, which is the wolf's urine, and there is skunk essence, and I believe there's a lot of natural stuff that goes into your stuff too, so I'm pretty sure when you sniff this you can smell a lot of garlic off of it too. So I assume there's some garlic in it. So how we'll do this, give it a shake. Nature provides. And this stuff, give that a sniff. Want to smell?
Smell-o-vision.
Oh, definitely garlic.
Yep. Yep, that is garlic. Almost like a soy sauce.
Wolf urine, skunk essence. You can definitely smell the garlicky skunk smell.
Yep.
So you take this, and you don't need much of this. Like a Q-tip of this would clear out a room. So you take it.
Just dab a little here, dab a little there.
All the way up, so it's interested in whatever it's going up for.
And out here on the creek, on the river here, the wind will carry that scent pretty much every which way.
Oh,
and it's a big, big surface area to carry the scent from. Rather than just dab it right once, you got this big area, it's going to carry scent everywhere.
Especially on the river. This is like the best part of carrying it. That's gonna look good.
So this is a 110 body grip. We used a chainsaw to plunge cut into this dead standing cedar tree. A little bit of bark above it to act as a roof, keep the snow from getting into the trap. And it's been wired to this broken branch here. This is unset, or it is set currently. We'll break a branch off. It's a big old branch. You can see how this works. These two little whiskers, here and here, are connected to the trigger, And that's basically not to hit against the face of the animal, but more on the shoulders and the body as they try to move in and out of the trap cubby. There's a dog piece up here, which is kind of like a little hook that attaches, and when this whisker is pushed on, it canters out of the dog and knocks the dog off, which causes the trap to slam shut around the body of the animal, like that. Like a supersized rat trap. And the bigger traps, we have 330s out here, 280s, 220s, 160s. They are, you can set them by hand, but in the cold, and if you're not used to it, it's a lot of work. It's easier to do with trap setters, or trap pliers as some people call them. But the 110 is pretty straightforward. You just compress the spring like such. Squeeze enough, I can throw that little safety latch on. Of course, these brand new ones are always a little sticky. There we go. This one's only been out for about a week now. So the spring is set. It's got a safety latch on it. And you can see the dog spinning right there. The whisker right here. And I just complete the equation, setting them back together. And then before I take off the safety, I'm going to set it back into its little cubby hole here. We got chicken liver and guts and blood back in there, and some squirrel bits. And that's a set trap. Moving on to the next one. So here at this fallen cedar tree, we had an indigenous student, Mushkegowuk, or a Moose Cree or Swampy Cree student, set up a Samson Post deadfall. Deadfalls are part of the wooden trap or traditional wooden trap category of trapping regulations, which used to be across the board legal in Canada. Recently, they changed those rules. Deadfalls are now considered illegal except for in cases of First Nations people who have traditional rights to continue trapping and hunting and harvesting in their traditional ways. And this one is a very common one you find all across the North Country, from Sweden to Alaska to northern Quebec to even amongst the Neanderthals of northern Europe 30,000, 40,000 years ago. This is the Samson Post deadfall trigger. One of the most common triggers, one of the easiest to learn, and one of the easiest to set. But they are also a little finicky. The problem with this one is he has about 120 pounds of material on top, which is about the right weight for fisher and raccoon sized animals. You want to have about a 1 to 5. I prefer 1 to 5. A lot of people say 1 to 4. But I prefer a 1 to 5 ratio of animal's weight to deadfall's weight. So if I want to catch a 125 pound deer, I need to have a 500 pound weight. And that's a lot of work to do just with one 500 pound log and set your trap underneath it. The better way to go about it is get a lighter log. This one's about 40 pounds, maybe 30 pounds, made of solid hemlock. And then he started to add about another 80 pounds of weight on top of it. And of course, snowfall starts to increase the weight as well. By the end of the season, this trap will actually weigh more than it did at the beginning because of the amount of snow accumulation. The problem is he didn't really do his bait trigger properly, and it's a little longer than it needed to be. And he ended up putting it on top of a stick, and it levered to the back and pinned itself. So I'm actually going to reach in, and this is 120 pounds. This can hurt my hand, but I can pull. I'm pulling on that bait stick, and this thing's not budging. And that's the reason that there's no bait on the bait stick. Some raccoon or fisher came right up and pulled it right off. It could have been a mouse for all we know, but it could have been, heck, another person for all we know, because this trap is not setting off or anything. So, little lesson learned there. Traps that are made of wood are very effective because metal traps, animal might not trust it. They can smell the steel, or they can see that square shape of a body grip trap, and they just don't trust it. But here, all they're smelling and seeing is wood, and they're surrounded by the smell and sight of wood everywhere here in the bush. So a deadfall in that sense can be very effective when set right.